Bobby, you can turn this over here. I'll get you.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Kate Foster, the very new president of the College of New Jersey. So new that this is my inaugural opportunity to warmly welcome a public audience to the college. What an honor it is that my first event features New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, about whom more in a moment. Also here today are state commissioners and leaders and members of the Senate and Assembly, including author of the P3 bill, Senate President Stephen Sweeney, from whom you will also hear shortly. We also welcome private sector partners, including two of today's speakers, Bob Kay, Chairman and CEO of the PRC Group, and Jack Kosis from the Associated Construction Contractors of New Jersey. Let me acknowledge also campus and community leaders and all of you in the audience. We are delighted that you are on campus and hope that you'll come back again many times. Now, it is fitting that TCNJ is the setting for this important bill signing today. Campus Town, the development at which we are gathered, is a P3 initiative made possible by a previous state law allowing these innovative partnerships. Campus Town is an enormously successful public-private partnership between the College of New Jersey and the PRC Group. As you can see, and as Mr. Kay will affirm, this $120 million, 350,000 square foot mixed-use development provides attractive housing, retail outlets, and amenities that we did not have and we would not have had without this P3 agreement. The project's restaurants, shops, and facilities, including a fitness center and healthcare options, directly serve TCNJ students, more than 600 of whom fully occupy its residential units. Campus Town also provides shopping and socializing options for people working or living on campus or in the surrounding communities. As P3 partnerships typically do, this project gives an enormous boost to the local economy. Over 20 years, the project is expected to bring $37 million in tax revenues and $196 million in projected payroll and salaries. Campus Town supported more than 150 on-site construction jobs, and it continues to support 450 permanent jobs, some number of which are held by TCNJ students, helping them to pay for their college education. Those are impressive numbers, but perhaps the most impressive number of all, at least from this public partner's point of view, is zero. No tuition or public dollars went into Campus Town, which was fully financed by our private partner, PRC Group. This win-win synergy is the power of a public-private partnership. As you hear this morning about the many ways that this legislation can boost our economies, know from Campus Town that these advantages are deeply beneficial and already proven. Governor, we are so honored that you chose Campus Town, this P3 project, as the setting for this historic bill signing. Now, there are many things that one could pull from the bio of a sitting governor, particularly the bio of the 56th governor of the state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy. You could consider his background, his business acumen, his ambassadorship in Germany, and his priorities and accomplishments in economic development, the environment, transportation, healthcare, law and justice, and more. But given our setting today, let me highlight his education. Governor Murphy's parents were not college graduates, but they inspired their children to be. Young Phil Murphy worked hard and took jobs to put himself through college at Harvard and graduate school at Wharton. Simply put, Governor Murphy earned his education. It would be no surprise to learn that the governor's 4 children are either in or heading before long to college. Now, in that light, I would not be doing my job as the president of the College of New Jersey if I didn't mention to Governor Murphy that Money Magazine just released its list of best colleges for your money, an accolade that takes into account a college's quality, affordability, and outcomes. I am proud to announce that among the over 3,000 four-year colleges and universities in the United States, public or private, TCNJ ranks 35th. Among public colleges and universities, we rank 23rd nationally and first in the state of New Jersey. And among, thank you, thank you. And wait for it. And among all public colleges and universities of our size, that's 5,000 to 10,000 students, the College of New Jersey ranks #1 in the nation. Governor,
with this distinguished group, and I'll get to them in a minute. I wanted to say something real quick that is off topic. And then what I think we're going to do after we all get a chance to say a few words, we'll take questions before we sign the bill that are related to P3. And a lot of you Kazmark, to the representatives from Legislative District 40, this flooding, these tragedies, these challenges, and today good opportunities transcend politics, and last night was no exception. Also a shout out to the police, fire, other emergency management personnel for their efforts. The families I met know that our thoughts and prayers are with them. Unfortunately, they are far from alone. By the way, 190 flooded homes in Little Falls, 210 in Woodland Park, just to pick those two communities. Whether it is elsewhere, and by the way, not just there, elsewhere across northern New Jersey. I spoke yesterday to the mayors of Caldwell, West Caldwell, Wayne, Totowa, other communities, but also down by us, and in particular more in Ocean than Monmouth, but Brick, Toms River, back up to Howell. Many neighborhoods are fighting against rising waters. Again, I must acknowledge the officials and first responders in every community who have responded to the flash flooding. We just signed an executive order I signed an executive order declaring a state of emergency for Bergen, Monmouth, Passaic, Essex, and Ocean counties. This will allow us to focus resources into the most impacted areas as necessary. Our job as public officials, first and foremost, is to ensure that everyone is safe, especially since we may not be out of this weather pattern yet. In fact, we are not out of it. Almost without question, we're going to see more rainfall, and we're sort of stuck in this vortex for the next, looks like 5 or 6 more days at a minimum. And it's going to fall onto already saturated ground. So when you're out, folks, if you're watching this, please be careful and use common sense. Any new rains will have nowhere to go but into the streets and already overflowing waterways. Don't attempt to drive into flooded areas. I saw cars strewn about like they were little blocks that kids play with. Be extra careful and look for downed wires or downed trees that may have taken wires with them. As to the here and now, the state is continuing to coordinate with local and county officials as well as volunteer organizations to meet the immediate needs of residents driven from their homes for shelter and emergency food and water. The most important thing anyone who cannot return to their home can do, and this is an important point, is to communicate their specific needs to emergency officials, particularly the Office of Emergency Management in their community and their county. The state, we're acting preemptively. We actually haven't had a lot of requests for help come our way, so part of the reason we signed the executive order is to lean forward and into this and to coordinate aggressively and proactively with OEMs at the county and local level. In terms of recovery, for the state to qualify for federal relief from either FEMA or the Small Business Administration, we have to hit certain damage thresholds. We were able to do that and cobbled together the blizzard damages, as tough as they were, to qualify for FEMA money over the winter. I urge, for us to get there though, I urge businesses as well as individuals to fully document their damages to their county office of emergency management, who will then reflect that up to the state level. And that means for individuals and homeowners, documenting any physical damage to property. Business owners should document revenue losses tied directly to the floods as well as property damage. Local officials should continue to document damages for debris removal, such as downed trees and mud from streets, and emergency protective measures such as sandbagging or pumping out floodwater. Most importantly, officials should continue to communicate with their county OEM partners who help the state police OEM coordinate responses and resources throughout the state. For the longer term, our goal remains to create more resilient communities which can withstand these types of events. We can't keep seeing the same movie again and again. We're going to use the lessons from the past several days to help us chart that course and examine ways to protect our communities better. There is no doubt that in some parts of our state have received nothing less than historic amounts of rain. As was reported, some communities received an entire month or even 2 months worth of rain in just a matter of minutes. It's all too common for us to throw around terms like a 100-year event when these storms hit more often. We must be better prepared. They're not once in 100-year events. They're at this point once in 100 minutes. We must be better prepared, but there is absolutely no doubt our people are already strong and resilient. I saw that firsthand yesterday. Dan Kelly is with me, who is our coordinator for OEM in the governor's office. And again, if I could beg your indulgence, after we sign the bill, Dan and I will go off to the side and take any questions you've got that are off topic. Again, good morning. It is wonderful to be here at the College of New Jersey. I guess 9 days ahead of the students arriving back. This is, as Kate said, one of the state's premier institutions of higher education, if not one of the country's. I want to thank President Foster for your incredibly gracious introduction and welcome officially you to TCNJ. I'm in particular proud to welcome you back to New Jersey, a Verona product who just most recently spent a bunch of years running one of Maine's outstanding institutions of higher education. It's great to have you back in New Jersey. I look forward to a continued strong relationship with this college throughout your tenure as president. It's also great to be here with Senate President Steve Sweeney, Associated Construction Contractors of New Jersey Chief Executive Officer Jack Koshis, and PRC Group Chairman and CEO Robert Kay. We're here to enact a new law to give our communities greater opportunities to benefit from common sense public-private partnerships to undertake essential construction and capital projects, all the while protecting property tax payers. This is a big deal. If you compare what we're about to sign, what Steve and Senator Oroho and others have championed, this is a big deal, not just in New Jersey, moving the needle in the P3 world, but if you compare what we're doing today in New Jersey, I think almost to any American state, we're opening this up wide. We are open for business. We're joined by a whole range of luminaries, a huge and extraordinary set of representatives of organized labor, a whole bunch of folks in our cabinet, representatives of other colleges in the state. It's an incredible honor to have you all with us today. The fact that this measure has garnered, and this is an important point as I look at Tom and Steve and others here, that this has garnered such bipartisan support says a lot. It says that we all, Democrats and Republicans alike, recognize the tremendous benefits that can arise when public officials and private sector partners work together. Together, we're giving our state, county, and local officials much needed flexibility to improve their communities, all the while creating good paying new jobs, and in most cases, I hope in all, union jobs, and doing so in a way that shields property taxpayers from shouldering an undue burden. Moreover, this law will ensure that while we strengthen our communities and state economy, we will also strengthen our middle class with protections for prevailing wage and project labor agreements. P3 projects are directly tied to the stronger side of the stronger and fairer New Jersey we talk about and we are building. A stronger economy is driven by new jobs at good wages. Communities are strengthened by new projects that meet the needs of residents. And the state is made stronger by the creation of new infrastructure critical to underpinning our long-term economic success. For several years, job-creating P3 projects have been the sole domain of our public colleges and universities. And as Kate referred to it, we've got a great example of what has been made possible through public-private partnerships right here at TCNJ. Without the ability to work collaboratively with the PRC group, among other partners, the campus town development, which has been a tremendous boon to both students and here at TCNJ and the greater Ewing community, would not have been possible. Likewise, we've seen similar advancements at colleges and universities across and up and down the state, from Montclair to Rowan to Stockton's Gateway Project, to pick a few, among many, many other examples. These projects are allowing our institutions of higher education to become global leaders. But with looming infrastructure needs up and down New Jersey, now is the time to expand the possibilities from just our college campuses to Main Street and beyond. This is how we will keep our communities as places that people from all over the world want to come and live, and where businesses will want to come to set down roots and create new jobs. From the need to upgrade vital transportation infrastructure, to water lines that desperately need to be replaced, to strong information technology infrastructure, to the necessity of modern centers for learning in our public schools, the list of issues facing our state and communities is long. These are not inexpensive problems either. Many of them would stretch government entities far beyond the ability of taxpayers to pay. But with this newfound ability and flexibility to explore P3 possibilities and create far-reaching projects that can be done collaboratively will go a long way to allowing us to get vital statewide and community-focused improvements off the drawing boards and into reality. Again, I am grateful to the bipartisan leadership of the legislature for their efforts to get this bill on my desk. They're not here today, but I want to give in absentia a shout out to Speaker Craig Coughlin, Majority Leader Lou Greenwald, Minority Leader John Bramnick, and then Assemblyman and now Senator Joe Lagana for also sponsoring this law. I'm also grateful for the work of many people and many leaders in the building trades, in the business community, and in our communities to keep this issue in the forefront. And this will be a win-win-win for each. Of course, nothing we can do here can replace true leadership from Washington in supporting our communities. So even as we celebrate this new law today, tomorrow we'll get back to the hard work of convincing the President and the congressional leadership that we need greater investment in New Jersey and in our communities, in the Gateway Tunnel Project in particular, in our transportation and mass transit networks, and much more. Those are truly game-changing projects, not just for our state, but for our nation's economy and security. And I would like nothing more than for them to be undertaken alongside game-changing projects that will truly reshape our state and make us stronger, more resilient, and ready for the future. With that, I want to call up, I'm honored to introduce a friend, Jack Koshis, Chief Executive Officer of the Associated Construction Contractors of the great state of New Jersey. Jack? Great to have you, man.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Governor. Boy, this is a long time coming. We've been working on this piece of legislation for probably 7 or 8 years, and it really has, as you heard from President Foster, it really has the ability to advance New Jersey's economy, and it will move much-needed public works projects that don't have any funding attached to them. Today, it really demonstrates that New Jersey's serious, as the Governor has mentioned, about working with private entities to actually attract capital to improve our infrastructure. Special recognition, though, should really go to the sponsors of the legislation. Senate President Sweeney, of course, Senator Arrojo, very instrumental in helping promote this and move it along. We have Senator Singleton, Speaker Coughlin, Assemblyman Greenwald, and Bramnick. Again, bipartisan support because everybody understands the real need for this. These legislative leaders, and they really did lead this issue, truly understand the economic challenges of New Jersey, but they also understand we need to invest in our infrastructure to keep New Jersey the great state that it is. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give a special acknowledgement to Senate President Sweeney, for his focus and his commitment of finding unique ways to help finance and fund our infrastructure, and in doing so, increasing transparency, increasing the much-needed public protections, increasing contractor pre-qualification requirements and certifications, and of course, ensuring that skilled labor will be working on these projects. So, Senator, we really appreciate it. Also, behind the scenes, I really would like to recognize John Parkinson, from the Executive Director of the Association for the Improvement of American Infrastructure. John and his organization helped with all the technical support to make sure that this bill was done right and that all the protections and the policy issues were dealt with to make it the best bill that it could be. So we really appreciate, John, you and your support. And last but certainly not least, Governor Murphy for his commitment, his leadership, and his vision on this issue. As candidate Murphy, we talked many times about this, and the governor truly understood the value of bringing private investment into the public sector, how we could leverage it and actually get things done like this college campus town project and others around the state. So we thank the governor for making this a reality and providing all public bodies with the P3 tool to advance work that wouldn't otherwise go. So thank you very much.
Jack, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Jack, thank you for those very gracious words. And by the way, Steve and I were just commenting, we would like to come back looking like you. We both think you look like you walked out of a movie set, so whatever you're doing, it's working, Jack. It's working. Thank you again for your leadership and your friendship and support, and we wouldn't be here without you. It's now my honor to ask the PRC Chair and Chief Executive Officer to come up and say a few words, a guy who knows this P3 land better probably than anybody in the state. Please welcome Robert Kay.
Welcome, everyone. Governor Murphy, Mayor Steinman, who I don't believe is here today, Dr. Foster, other dignitaries, assembled guests, thank you all for gathering here today at PRC's Campus Town development on the campus of the College of New Jersey. Campus Town, the amazing product of cooperative collaboration between TCNJ and the PRC group of companies, may be the quintessential paradigm of a public-private partnership that should serve as a model across the entire state for how that concept should work. There can be no more fitting place for Governor Murphy to sign into law new legislation that will revive and facilitate the continuation of higher education public-private partnerships. P3 transactions have become vital tools for use by public entities in the planning and development of important capital programs. They offer an essential mechanism by which much-needed public infrastructure and facilities can be constructed off the balance sheets of our institutions of higher learning and without further burdening the taxpayers of New Jersey. And who among us doesn't like that? In fact, a 2016 study by Syracuse University concluded that there is a significantly higher likelihood of meeting cost and schedule objectives under public-private partnership models compared with traditional public sector project delivery. Simply put, the public sector does certain things better and the private sector does other things better. What could be greater than marrying the respective strengths of both sectors and forging these forces into bonds of partnership that serve mutual interests? But Campus Town and other P3 projects are not just about economics. They are much more important than mere models of financing. The Campus Town project has been able to provide the TCNJ student body with a new modern housing option, as well as access to a state-of-the-art fitness center, retail shops, restaurants, other eateries they would not have otherwise have. It offers an exciting hub for student activity and a point of interfacing between the college and the larger Ewing community. As a result, TCNJ has become an even more attractive educational institution for young people and a better educational value for students overall. In addition, it reinforces the economic vitality of Ewing and enhances the quality of life of all community residents who have equal access to the retail and dining options Campus Town provides. Public-private partnerships are also extremely important engines of job creation. We are proud that this Campus Town generated over 300 construction jobs and well over 400 full-time and part-time retail jobs. Additional public-private partnerships will further spur New Jersey's economy in the right direction, and we are happy to be part of that process. I would be happy to work with the governor and his team moving forward. Thank you very much.
I just want to echo something that Mr. Kay said, which is that this is a best of both worlds, best of the sort of public sector norms, best of organized labor norms and standards, and the best that the private sector can bring, and that's a rare opportunity. I mentioned Senator Oro earlier. I want to reiterate, however, that you are a main driver in this. It's not just nice to have you here, but you're one of the sponsors of this, and you work with another Steve. And it's my great pleasure to ask to come on up and say a few words. A guy who's been on this as early and as hard-driven and as focused as anybody in this state. Let's hear it for the Senate President, Steve Sweeney.
Thank you. Madam President, my son did go here. Yes. And graduated with a master's from here. And I have to tell you, from knowing this campus, this project is an enormous benefit. You know, I talked to my son, and he kind of regrets not being here now because there wasn't a whole lot here. Great school, but kids look to do things. So what you did was you were able to capture the economic benefit of all these young people and their dollars to spend to create jobs. Public-private partnerships are the most important thing we could be doing in the state. As the governor calls for a stronger, fairer economy, this is one of the pieces that actually build that. With private sector ingenuity, technology, you know, they can do it better. And I want to thank Governor Murphy because this bill is better than the last P3 bill that we did because it expanded into infrastructure. New Jersey is going to be the lead, you know, in this country in making investments to improve our infrastructure, our universities. It's wonderful, but it's just so much more we can do. We were just scratching the surface. And the partnership that we had with the governor and my partner in a lot of initiatives, it's Oraho, right?
Either way, it's Oraho, or rake or shovel.
All right, because I think he said your name wrong, but like me, I answered anything anyway, Steve. Sweeney's easier, though. Steve's easier, absolutely. But he's been a wonderful partner in the legislature, and you know, things are always better when we can do them in a bipartisan fashion. And having the support from both sides of the aisle to create this opportunity is enormous. And you know, when you see us all work together, and I actually have to mention the Speaker and Lou Greenwald and John Bramnick also, because without their support, you know, it's always better when we work together. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, just because you have different beliefs. But on economic development, you know, you can see we all get it. And again, Governor, I want to thank you for strengthening this bill, making it much better than the previous bills that we've done. And we're going to move the state forward. And I look forward to the day when people are going to talk about, well, they're doing this in New Jersey.
Yep.
They're doing this in New Jersey. They're doing that in New Jersey. And we're the model for the nation. So, Governor, again, thank you for signing this bill, making it a better bill to my legislative partner. and the partners in the Assembly, because we've actually done a very good thing here today, and this starts to help grow the economy. Thank you.
Amen. Well said. Well said. You know, it's an interesting point that Steve just said. Steve squared here. We got Steve Sweeney just said that a senior advisor, I won't say who and what state, to a neighboring big, you know, in the region governor, said that they are just their jaws on the floor with the expansiveness and potential impact of this particular bill. And so it's getting attention, and it's going to have real results. Take anything that's related to this, if we could, and then I'd love to sign this, and then we'll do a separate, Danny somewhere, we'll do a separate gaggle on storms and other stuff. Anything on P3, please. Yeah, so the question is, can you give an example of a future project that right now it wouldn't be subject to P3 but would be in the future? It's almost anything. It could be a local library, highway construction, transit related, the whole raft of infrastructure. This opens it up wide. Now there's going to be some projects where there'll be some jurisdictional issues. So for instance, I'd have to we'll come back to you later if you ask me specifically about how this law particularly applies to the Gateway project as an example. But we expect this to have a very broad application. And by the way, no one has said this. If folks are out there wondering, oh my Lord, the private sector is running away with the store here, that's just not true. This law requires the treasurer of the state of New Jersey to opine on every project. If it's a school project, our Commissioner of Education, Dr. Repollet, is here. He and his team would have to opine on it. Secretary of Higher Ed, Zacchaeus Smith-Ellis, is here. That's already the case for higher ed projects. Secondly, while the funding may be coming from diverse sources, the responsibility financially for the project is on the backs of the private sector. And I did mention earlier, I hope I did, that this is all going to be done on our terms, particularly on prevailing wage and project labor agreements. So there are a lot of mitigants that make sure that nobody's going to run away with the store here. If anything to the contrary, the taxpayer is going to be a big benefit from this. Anybody? Shall we sign this thing? All right, come on down. Let's go.
magazine?
Yeah. I think, I don't know if this I'll take a look. and see.
Okay.
How's things going?
Busy, but good. How about you?
It's crazy. Insane.